Hello, everyone. This is the first of what is likely to be an ongoing thing for the channel from here on out. And I wanted to start off with something that was really, truly special for this. I've been collecting Criterion collections casually here and there, whenever they have those 50% off sales. But I never really got too serious about collecting home video because I was streaming for a long time. And I was streaming to a lot of stuff and not really watching a whole lot of it, to be totally honest. So I figured instead of spending, a set amount of money each month on all these services that I barely take advantage of to begin with, I would instead support all these boutique labels like Arrow, Vinegar Syndrome, Criterion, of course, Shout Factory, Scream Factory, Second Sight, BFI, Kino Lorber, all these companies that were putting a lot of effort into making these lesser known movies or cult classics look and sound as beautiful as they possibly can. And not just that, but when you take into account, how many Blu-rays and 4Ks and DVDs are out there in like thrift stores and stuff like that, you can get a lot of good stuff for cheap. I mean, I found a lot of really good deals just looking through the few thrift stores that we have in this town. You can get a lot for very little, and because you're curating what you buy yourself, you're going to watch movies and TV shows that you actually are invested in. I mean, I still have my Mubi account, and I am going to be churning, from one channel to another to save some money, but I find collecting not just a lot of fun, but a really great way to not have to deal with that sort of choice paralysis of having all this stuff to watch and not knowing where to even start. And one of my recent pickups was Vinegar Syndrome's Mexican Gothic, the films of Carlos Enrique Taboada. These are three movies: Más Negra que la Noche, Blacker Than the Night, Veneno para las Hadas, Poison for the Fairies, and Rapine, which means to rob from the dead. To grave rob, essentially. But one of the things that I really don't think comes across very well is just how fantastic the packaging is here. This is very strong, very sturdy cardboard. Beautiful art, by the way. I really, really love the artwork here. The Blu-ray case itself is a very high quality. Before I really get too much into the technicals here, I just want to say, I'm a Mexican American who has loved cinema since he was a kid, but I have an embarrassing blind spot when it comes to movies from my own culture, from my own motherland, and from Mexico, basically. So lately, Mubi, the streaming service, has put out a bunch of Mexican movies that I've been watching. And that's been really great too, but the quality has been very mixed, very inconsistent. So I'm glad to say the transfers that Vinegar Syndrome provided for all three of these movies are just fantastic. The color, the detail, the grain structure is so beautifully preserved and presented here. The cinematography on all three of these movies are very creative. You have different styles with all of them. Blacker Than the Night is just a straight up Mexican giallo movie with giallo visuals, giallo colors, and stuff like that. Poison for the Fairies is more shot like a drama, is more of a character study until it's not, until it becomes a horror movie. Same thing with Thirpeen, where it is essentially a Western movie until, it's a horror movie. I will be doing reviews of all three of these movies for IF and Love Cinema. That's going to be released in conjunction to this. But, needless to say, I loved all three of these movies, and this has been a great gateway for me into a legendary Mexican auteur that is just not known very well outside of his country. And when I say auteur, I do mean auteur. This guy writes and directs all his movies, and he is incredibly talented at both the characters that he creates, the themes that he explores, and the way that his stories unfold. It's up there with the best American filmmakers. And if you yourself are a fellow Mexican American film lover, but you also don't know much about Mexican cinema, my God, yes, pick this up. Pick this up for sure. I went ahead and sprung for the deluxe edition here, which was about $45, but I do believe there's a cheaper version. But honestly, I'm glad that I spent the money on this. I'm glad that I'm supporting this. I cannot thank Vinegar Syndrome enough for putting this out, for giving me this experience, to kind of give more of a review on the other aspects of this release. The booklet is of high quality. You know, it's actually, I would say, better than a lot of Criterion booklets. The essays in them provide a lot of historical context and a lot of cultural context, which really helps appreciate these movies and their place in the Mexican cinematic landscape. Especially the last one, which is essentially a full breakdown of his career. And there's also 3 video essays, one for each film, and all of them run about 15 minutes long. And each one of them explores the films in terms of their folklore and their genre, and how Carlos Enrique Taboada likes to subvert a lot of those tropes, then how that makes his films uniquely his own. Very great work all around. The films only have a stereo mix, but they sound great, despite the fact that, yeah, you know, the sources were very highly damaged. Vinegar Syndrome did a lot of work when it came to restoring the movies and really highlighting the beauty of the cinematography, and they do a fantastic job of that. This is, I think, about as good as these films could sound and look. Highly recommend these movies. Cannot recommend them enough. I just really wanted to highlight this and review this, and really just once again thank Vinegar Syndrome for giving this to me. This is awesome. So that's going to be all for today. And if you like this video, make sure you hit like and subscribe. Bye bye, everyone.